All right, and now he's joining us once again for his weekly visit, the publisher of the Bear Report magazine, John Crist. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. My January is freeing up by the Sunday, so I'm doing very well.
Listen to me, you could have made plans before the season.
No kidding.
But I forgot when Jay Cutler came to town, people took their eyes off the problems of this football team, and I said, wait a minute, we have an offensive line. Oh, no, it's going to be better than last year's. Wait a minute. We have a defensive line. Well, we got Rod Marinelli. Have you heard Rod Marinelli's? Where are the articles now? I haven't seen an article about Rod Marinelli for 3-4 weeks. Right now, Rod Marinelli as a hire has been a bust. Right now, Lovie Smith is a bust. And Jerry Angel, looking for his name today in the paper. Poor Lovie's got some personnel that maybe a lot of teams wouldn't even have on their team.
Yeah, your initial thought is absolutely correct, because everyone assumed when Jay Cutler was coming to town, wow, Jay Cutler's got a defense now.
You couldn't find out. You couldn't find out anything.
This was the 28th ranked defense in the league. Last year, the 21st ranked defense in the league. This defense is a myth, and it is absolutely broken, because I heard Dan talking earlier. This is a defense that is designed to have strength through the middle. You need an under tackle, you need a middle linebacker, you need a safety that are difference makers. Right now, Tommy Harris has lost his mind. Brian Urlacher is no longer there. You got no Mike Brown and no replacement for him. The defense you were designed and trying to play, you physically can't play.
So basically, we're missing up the middle defense.
Yes.
Really? Harris. Or it was Mike Brown right now. I wish almost that he was back on this football team, because they lost leadership from him, Dan.
I have a feeling that there are a lot of people in the court.
We lost because we're looking at guys.
He's still playing, is he not?
Yeah, he's still playing. I mean,
he's not the
Kansas City Chiefs aren't going anywhere. He's never going to head back to a Pro Bowl. But to have his presence in the locker room might be nice. But I'm not worried about having Mike Brown here. I'm worried about finding the guy who can do the Mike Brown type things. And they haven't taken the safety position seriously in the draft, in free agency. It hasn't worked.
Didn't they spend a pretty high draft choice on Craig Stelz?
He was a third-round pick, maybe a fourth-round pick, maybe. I mean,
that's a valuable pick, though, isn't it?
That's a second.
You know what? I'll say this about Craig Stelz. When he gets a chance to play, I hear his name. That's all I'm going to say. I see, and maybe sometimes for not all the right reasons, but I'll tell you this: he's around the action. Kevin Payne's still trying to figure out his own defense.
I don't understand why Kevin Payne has arms attached to his body. I mean, he honestly thinks that a tackle attempt is just driving a shoulder into somebody. And I know you want to be a big, tough guy and knock somebody down, but how many tackles has this guy missed? And the reason he's not on the field anymore is because he has absolutely no.
Let me ask you a question, John, because you know Dan's a big peanut guy. I'm a big peanut guy. But tackling-wise, yesterday, putting him on a man-man, his days as a top cover corner are done. You got to help a guy like that out, and they had no help. They haven't learned their lesson from seasons past.
No, and this is the problem in Chicago is that I mean, I know Peanut's a really good player. He has been for a long time. He's been the best corner in Chicago. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a great corner in this league. You wonder why he's never been to a Pro Bowl? You know, maybe the other players, the other coaches, the fans around the league don't consider him a top-tier talent. I think he's a really good player.
Well, there's no question to me in this town thinks the Bears
are. I think he's a really good player, but when he goes up against number 11 in red and white, he doesn't have a chance.
In defense of him on that crossing pattern touchdown, I credit also the offense with running something that was spectacular.
Oh, they get paid.
That crossing routes, they ran 2 crossing routes and picked him off.
Sure.
And again, those are the kind of things we're asking our offense to take a look at.
I think the thing that bothered me, and I brought up twice to Dan, the out pattern that was a touchdown where Fitzgerald.
Yes, it was
he's not supposed to be out there to begin with.
Right.
Push him inside. The sideline is your friend. He didn't make the
sideline is your friend, but you know it's hard to blame Peanut on that particular play because that's an in and out move from an All-Pro wide receiver. The ball was delivered on time, and he made a great play. So I mean, I don't think that's the play to highlight.
Which is why Dan just gave the offense credit on one of Peanut's things. It's hard to blame Peanut. I just want to ask a question: is Peanut culpable at all?
Well, sure he is.
I just want to make sure.
When you give up 100
because I watched the game yesterday and I'm seeing different.
But you know when you look at what they ran, I mean, hey, that's a smart offense right there to run something like.
Sure.
Obviously, these guys. I tell you what, they looked at the Bears' defense, schemed for it perfectly, and they executed it perfectly.
Because there's no surprise.
A couple quick points.
Go ahead.
A couple quick points. Mike Brown leads the Chiefs in tackles.
Yes, he does.
And
but you know what? We don't need him.
We've also got a board that I want to show you the last 3 games because we've been talking about what the Bears' defense has been. The last 3 losses. Excuse me. Let's look at what the Bears' defense has done since the bye week. 35.7 points per game. They've been giving up almost 380 yards per game, rushing $155, passing about 224, 225, and the turnover margin -5.
You know what? I think Marinelli, the discipline of this line is gone. I thought Agunia and Alex Brown committed inside too much. They didn't have no contain.
Yeah.
Rod Marinelli better get it done because the coaches the assistants were hung out to dry last year. Let me ask you something. Lovie Smith, Bob Babbage. Bob Babbage last year, Lovie Smith this year. You make the call.
It's the scheme. I mean, it's
so Bob Babbage really couldn't do much about it.
I mean, the defense itself is being run a little bit differently, but if the defense is broken, it's not going to matter. Who's the puppet master here? I mean, I think that Bob Babbage was held out to dry a little bit. I think deservedly so. Lovie Smith has absolutely nobody to blame. He's the de facto defensive coordinator now. He put it all on his shoulders.
He thought he could do it.
Be what does him in, because there's been no difference whatsoever.
No, and when you put guys in positions like Afalava yesterday. Came down in right position to make a tackle, doesn't make it. When you look at the individual performances, like they're going to do today up in Lake Forest, that's when all the blame gets assessed.
And once again, Dan,
and all the problems are laid bare.
I heard Afalava was the way they were talking about, like he was Fensick, Plank, like he was all these guys. Everybody's hoping, but nobody has anything concrete until they get out.
Maybe one day he's going to be a good safety. I think, as a rookie, 6th round.
And maybe one day he'll be out of the league. See, that's the problem. Maybe one day he'll be a good safety. I'll give you one.
I know.
Maybe one day he'll be out of the league.
It's
possible, that can happen with anybody.
Yeah,
you look at Gary. I mean, when Gary's going to visit with us later on, Gary came in to the league. He was a 10th round pick.
It took him a while to figure it out.
It did.
Yeah, but he could always tackle.
He played receiver in college.
Exactly. But he could always tackle.
I don't know if Gary tackled a soul in college, but when he got here, he sure as heck.
Well, it doesn't matter what he did in college. Once he's in a pro uniform on the defensive side.
That's what I just said.
Afalava can't tackle, though, Dan. Gary could.
Oh, yeah, he can.
Oh, he can't. Come on.
I mean, I know.
All right, he's Rosie Taylor.
We're talking about, the
a little bit of difference.
It's really easy.
Rosie Taylor now or Rosie Taylor when he played.
Whatever.
It's really easy to look at the stat sheet and see that, Kurt Warner had 5 touchdown passes and you can't cover anybody. Look at the run defense. This is the worst running team in the league. The worst running team in the league. Tim Hightower was not averaging 3 yards per carry, but he and Beanie Wells are ripping shreds through this defense. How do you give up 182 yards?
And look where they run. Look at where Alex Brown is. Alex Brown's supposed to be waiting on that side for him, and the linebacker's supposed to come up with some help.
Dan will tell you, as a former offensive lineman, on those running plays, you have to change the line of scrimmage, and that was Arizona was able to do.
Well, what do we always talk about with the Bears?
There goes Alex Brown again.
The Bears do change the offensive line. The problem is that it's 2 steps backwards.
Right.
When the Arizona Cardinals run the ball yesterday, if they're running it on the 23-yard line, all of a sudden the line of scrimmage is at 26 because they're getting pushed.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break, guys, here in the Monster in the Morning. Jen's going to come back, get us caught up with weather and traffic, and then, of course, we're going to continue our conversation with John Crist of the Bear Report next here on Comcast SportsNet.
Who's that number? You don't want to call.